Hello everyone, my name is Nadeem Khan. Welcome to Uncommon Literature. Today we are going to learn one poem by Robert Browning, My Last Duchess. The poem is really famous and it is prescribed in most of the English literature syllabus. So let us begin the poem now. In the introduction, we have to see that the poem is a dramatic monologue which is spoken by Duke of Ferrara. Here, dramatic monologue means that the whole poem is spoken by one person only to an absent or silent audience. Here, there is Duke of Ferrara and somebody has come to meet him, and somebody is the messenger who is an envoy means a messenger who has come from some other king to meet him, and Duke of Ferrara is going to marry the daughter of that king. Okay, so Duke shows the painting of his duchess and speaks about it. So the poem is about that the Duke is showing the messenger the painting of his duchess, his wife. Okay, and you have to notice the dominance means control, authority over the duchess, and the theme of stooping you will understand when we go through the poem. Okay, so let us begin. That's my last duchess painted on the wall, the Duke says, showing it to the messenger that is the painting of my duchess, looking as if she were alive, and the painting looks like lifelike, okay, as if she is still alive. I call that piece a wonder, and he is calling that it is a wonderful piece of art. Now Fra Pandolf's hands worked busily a day. So he is saying that this painting was made in one day when Fra Pandolf is the painter who painted it in one day, and he worked whole day from morning till evening. And there she stands. There she stands means that he worked whole day. That is why the painting is before us. Will it please you sit and look at her? So he is asking the envoy to sit down. I said Fra Pandolf by design. So he is saying I deliberately said the name Fra Pandolf because many people for never read strangers like you that pictured countenance, the depth and passion of its earnest glance. It's basically the idea is from for never read from here till the last word, but you have to understand that here the Duke is saying that whenever I show the painting to strangers like you, they get confused that what made the duchess smile, why the duchess is smiling in the painting. Okay, so they ask me this question, they turn to me. Here you can see that they turn to me because I am the only person who can draw the curtain before the painting. So there is a curtain, the painting is inside a curtain, and the only person who can draw the curtains before the painting is the Duke himself. Okay, so you can see that I repeat it now. I said Fra Pandolf by design, for never read strangers like you that pictured countenance, the depth and passion of its earnest glance. So it means that strangers like you that pictured countenance. Pictured means painted, countenance means appearance, the depth and passion of its earnest glance. So the people are not able to understand the depth and passion of her glance, of her appearance, but to myself they turn. So they turn to the Duke because he is the only one who can draw the curtain. Since none puts by the curtain I have drawn for you, but I. Notice here the last two words, but I, meaning only he has the authority to remove the curtains, and seemed as if they would ask me. So again here he is continuing about the strangers, that people only seem to ask me the question that what made the Duchess laugh or smile, but they do not dare. If they dare, meaning they do not dare to ask, but it only seems to be asking. How such a glance came there? So they only seem to be asking this question, how such a glance came there. So not the first are you to turn and ask thus. So he is saying to the messenger that you are not the first person who is asking me this question, that what made the Duchess smile. Sir, it was not her husband's presence only. So he will continue telling the reasons of what made her smile during this making of the painting. So he will just continue his speaking by saying that, sir, he is addressing the messenger by saying, sir, it was not her husband's presence only. So he is saying that it is not the reason that only I was present there, that is why she is smiling. There were other reasons as well. What are they? Called that spot of joy into the Duchess' cheeks. So he called that joy means that it is not because of only that she smiled. Called means that what brought the spot of joy on her cheek. Let us find the reason. Perhaps Fra Pandolf chanced to say, so he is just fabricating a story. He is thinking that maybe Fra Pandolf said something like that her mantle laps over my lady's wrist too much. Mantle means any cloth which covers. So laps means, moving up and down. So maybe the painter said that the cloth which is covering her is moving a lot. Okay. Or maybe he said that paint must never hope to reproduce the faint half flush that dies along her throat. So he is saying that paint is unable to create something which can die as the throat means as the person dies. Okay, such stuff. So understand this thing, such stuff meaning such things was courtesy for her. Courtesy meaning that when somebody is trying to impress, when somebody is behaving nicely, that is called courtesy. So he is saying for her such stuff was courtesy, she thought, and cause enough. Remember the last two words, cause enough, and he is saying that these things were enough reasons for her for calling up that spot of joy. So he is thinking that just because of these small things, it is enough to make her smile, to bring that spot of joy. She had, now notice here, this is most important lines of the poem, she had a heart, how shall I say. So he is talking about her still and how her heart was, but he takes a pause. He asks a question to himself that how should I say this. She had a heart, how shall I say, too soon made glad, meaning that she was a person who was easily impressed by anybody. Too easily impressed, she liked whatever she looked on. Remember this, that she liked whatever she looked on, and her looks went everywhere. So you have to understand this, that she liked whatever she saw, and she mostly saw everything, she mostly looked everywhere. So it means that she almost liked everything whatever she saw. Sir, it was all one. So he is saying that for her everything was one. Everything was one means that she did not discriminate, she did not categorize anything, one thing from the other. For her everything was almost same, she paid equal attention to everything. My favor at her breast, the dropping of the daylight in the west. So he is talking about the things which like he will categorize many things here, and he would say that all these things were one for her, there is no difference for her. So my favor at her breast, so he is saying whatever favor I did for her. The dropping of the daylight in the west, so dropping of the daylight in the west means the setting of the sun. the bow of cherries some officious fool broke in the orchard for her. So if somebody brought her some cherries, okay, this is the point here, the white mule she rode with round the terrace. Okay, so these are the lists, these are the things which he mentions, and he is saying all and each would draw from her alike the approving speech. So he is saying that all these things were same for her, and all these things you know got attention, similarly got same approval from her. Move to the next lines. And one thing I want to point out here, that this line is in one stanza only. That is why I am not saying today next let's move to the next stanza. The poem is in one stanza only, but I have divided it into different slides so that we can go in the depth line wise line. Okay, moving ahead. Or blush at least. Okay, so either she gave a good speech, or at least she blushed for anything whatever she saw. She thanked man. Now this is another point, notice here, she thanked man good, but thanked somehow, I know not how, as if she ranked my gift of a 900 years old name with anybody's gift. So you have to understand the idea here, that she thanked everybody in a way as if she was thanking them in the equal manner she would thank the king for giving his 900-year-old name to the duchess. So you can understand that the king has a lineage of all the kings, and he has a lineage of 900 years old. So he is saying that the duchess thanked everybody in the similar manner as if she was thanking the duke for his name. Who would stop to blame this sort of trifling? Even had you skill in speech. So you have to understand here that who would stop to blame this sort of trifling. So by saying this, he wants to say that I do not want to bend before her by pointing out these things in her nature. Okay, stoop means bending. So he is not even able, he is not even willing to point out the mistakes, or point out what he does not like in her nature. He is considering these things as trifling. Trifling means very little matters, very little things. Even had you skill in speech, which I have not. So he is saying that if somebody has good skill in speaking, and he is saying that I do not have good speaking skills, to make your will quite clear to such an one, and say just this or that in you disgusts me. Here you miss. So here you miss, or there exceed the mark. And if she let herself be lessoned so, nor plainly set her wits to yours, forsooth, and made excuse. So basically he is saying that by saying these things to the duchess, even saying these things would also be considered as stooping according to the duke. And so he is saying even then would be some stooping. So he is saying that still saying these things would be also stooping, and I choose never to stoop. So you can see some arrogance in his tone, that he is saying that I never choose to stoop because he is duke. Oh sir, she smiled, no doubt, whenever I passed her, but who passed without much the same smile? So he is saying that whenever I passed her, she used to smile at me. But he is saying that it was not specially for me. Actually, the duchess used to smile to everyone, but who passed without much the same smile. This grew, I gave commands, then all smiles stopped together. So he is saying that, but the smiling thing slowly grew, and I gave commands. Then all smiles stopped together. So you have to understand, this is the most important line in this poem, that he was not liking the actions or the nature or the smiling or her affection of Duchess, that she liked everything she looked on. She used to treat everybody in the same manner, and she also used to smile with the same manner which she smiled at him with everybody also. Okay, so he did not like that, and he's saying this grew. So he's saying that it was increasing, and I gave commands. I gave commands, then all smiles stopped together. So by this, you may consider, you may guess whether he murdered, he gave command to kill the Duchess, or he gave command to imprison her or to send her somewhere, so that all smiles stopped together. So it is on readers that what interpretation we want to take out of this line. There she stands as if alive. Again repeating the same line. Will it please you, sir? Will it please you rise? So he is saying that will you rise now, and we will meet the company below. So they are upstairs, and they are saying let us go, and we will meet the company downstairs. I repeat. Now this last para is important, not the para or stanza. These are the last lines. So last lines are important. So the Count, your master's known munificence, is ample warrant that no just pretense of mine for dowry will be disallowed. So by saying this, he is saying that your master is known to give gifts, and he is very humble, he is very charitable, and whatever he says he gives to the people. So he is saying your master's known munificence is very famous, and I consider it as a sufficient warrant that no just pretense of mine for dowry will be disallowed. So he is saying that as far as I remember the nature of your master, I am sure that my demand of dowry will not be disallowed. It means that you will definitely consider my demands of dowry. Though his fair daughter's self, as I vowed at starting, is my object. However, this is contradictory little, that at one point he is saying that I hope my dowry will be given to me without any problem, but at the next line, in the very next line, he is saying that however I want your daughter to be my chief object, as I said in the starting. Nay, we will go together down, sir. So he is saying that we will go together down. Notice Neptune. So this line is important. Notice Neptune. While they are coming downstairs, there is a statue of Neptune who is controlling a seahorse. Okay, so he is asking the messenger to notice that statue. Notice Neptune, though taming a seahorse. Taming means controlling any animal. Thought a rarity. So this statue is a rarity. It is very rare. Which Claus of Innsbruck cast in bronze for me. So you can understand here three things are important. First, that he is asking for the dowry. Second, he is also signifying, he is also symbolizing the male dominance over the female with the statue, which the statue represents, the taming seahorse by Neptune. Okay, this represents that thing. In the end, in the last line, he says that the statue is very rare, and he has it made by Claus of Innsbruck and it is especially made for him in browns. So last two words for me, notice that. So by saying this, he is also telling his own prosperity. He is also wealthy. So he is saying that I am also wealthy. I also want wealth from the my to be wife. Okay, wife to be, I also want some dowry in exchange. So this is the whole scenario basically. So once you listen to the audio and once you go through the lines of the poem, you will definitely understand it. And if you have doubts, you can write me in the comment section, and if you want me to analyze any work of literature, you can also write me there. I will make videos on that. Thank you so much.